y'all have been hearing and learning about some fantasy stories. So I found one at my house, and it's called 10 minute stories. So there's 10 stories in here, and they're 10 minutes long, which is pretty cool. But this is a table of contents, and the story I'm going to read today is called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and it tells us it's on page 204. So I'm going to flip to page 204 to get started. So the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Let's get started. Max had spent hours cleaning the sorcerer's workshop, and he still hadn't finished. I'm fed up, he moaned to Tabitha, the sorcerer's toad. All I do is mop, scrub, polish. How will I ever learn any magic? Max, called a voice. Max leaped up from his chair as the sorcerer came into the workshop. I wondered if... Ah! The sorcerer lifted his foot up in disgust. Look at this toadstool. What have you been doing all morning? He's not too happy. Cleaning, Max said sulkily. Look, the water tank is empty. You'd better fill it up then, said the sorcerer. And sweep and scrub this floor again too. You did a terrible job the first time, Max. Max sighed. I have to go into town. The sorcerer went on, producing a shopping list. Must remember dragon scales. Now don't try any spells while I'm out, he warned, or I'll turn you into a tadpole. Whoa. So he's warning him he better not do any magic while he's out. With a glare at Max, he raised his arms. There was a flash of light. Purple smoke swirled around the room, and the sorcerer vanished. Hooray! Max grinned. A few hours off. I think I'll go for a swim in the moat. What about filling the water tank, and scrubbing the floors, Tabitha reminded him. The sorcerer won't be back for ages, said Max. I'll do it later. He won't be happy, said Tabitha. All right, said Max, grabbing the broom and starting to sweep the floor. He groaned. Filling the water tank would take ages, and lugging the pail up and down the steps from the pump to the tank was such hard work. If only there were something he could do to speed things up. He's thinking, what can he do? And then he had a brilliant idea. A few days ago, the sorcerer had cast a spell on the broomstick and brought it to life. I just need to remember the spell, thought Max, and then the broomstick can fill the tank for me. Max closed his eyes, took a breath, and recited the magic words. Root and branch of old oak tree, bring this branch to life for me. The broom shuddered in his hands and sprouted arms and legs. Fill the water tank for me, ordered Max, and the broom did. It looks like he did some magic when he wasn't supposed to. Max was delighted. His first ever spell had worked. I'm worn out now, he yawned. I think I deserve a little nap. And he stretched out on a chair and went to sleep. The next thing he knew, a frantic toad was jumping up and down on his lap. Wake up, Tabitha croaked. The tank is overflowing and the broom won't stop. Huh? Mumbled Max sleepily. Look, said Tabitha. Oh no, cried Max. The water had reached the top of the tank and was pouring over the side. That's enough, Max told the broom. You can stop now. Stop! The broom took no notice. So you can see the water overflowing now. Back and forth it trotted, filling up pails to the brim and pouring them into the water tank. Water sloshed in and sloshed straight out again, flooding onto the floor. Please stop, implored Max, but the broom kept going. I can't look. Quick, say a spell to make it stop before it floods the whole workshop, Tabitha pleaded. I don't know any other spell, said Max, looking embarrassed. Of all Of all the things, muttered Tabitha, by now the water was up to his ankles, and still the broom was bringing more. Uh-oh, he's still going. The sorcerer is going to be furious, Tabitha said. There must be something you can do. I can't think of anything, wailed Max. Could you chop it up? Suggested Tabitha. Great idea, said Max. With a loud crack, the broomstick split clean in two. Phew, said Max with relief. Mm. And then he realized that each half of the broom was growing a new arm and leg. Two of them, screamed Max. What are we going to do now? Don't get any more water, he shouted at the broom. I don't need it. Do you hear me? No more water. But now he's just made a bigger problem for himself, hasn't he? The brooms ignored him. Grabbing empty pails, they clattered up the steps to the pump, filled the pails, and then rushed back down to the tank. I'm going to be in so much trouble when the sorcerer comes back, Max thought gloomily. Please, please stop. He tried one last time, but the brooms kept going, and they seemed to be speeding up. Max splashed through the water and tried to grab them, but they darted out of his reach. By now the water was over his knees and rising fast. Past the top of his legs, creeping up to his waist, but desperately Max caught a hold of a table as it floated past. Wonder what the sorcerer is going to think when he gets back. The entire workshop was afloat, and still the broom kept filling the tank. With a splash and a sploosh, waves washed across the workshop. Help! Shouted Max. Someone please help! He warned you not to try. He warned you not to try any spells, Tabitha said. Maybe next time you'll listen. You're not helping, said Max. Can anyone hear me? Please help us, he yelled. There was a loud pop, and the sorcerer appeared, green stars glittering around him. He looked down in horror as water lapped at his robe. What's going on? I leave you for just a couple of hours, he began, and I return to find my workshop is a swimming pool. What on earth have you been doing? Just in that moment, the two brooms ran down the stairs and flung yet more water into the workshop. What? How? Why? Said the sorcerer, more than a little bewildered. I thought I said no spells, he spluttered. Quickly, he spread his arms wide, held his wand high, and called out, Eye of bat and tooth of boar, return to how you were before. It looks like he's going to fix everything that has been going on. In a swirl of smoke, one of the brooms vanished. The sorcerer waved his hand, and the other broom swished across the floor, leaving a trail of stars. It came to rest against the table and leaned there perfectly still. With a glug, 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 the water started to drain away, leaving battered books and an upturned cauldron behind. A cauldron is just this right here. It kind of looks like a pot. You can mix things in it. That's a cauldron. Max peered over the edge of the water tank. I warned you, no smell, snapped the sorcerer, raising his wand. I'm really, really sorry, Max babbled. Please don't turn me into a tadpole. I promise I won't meddle in magic again. Not good enough, said the sorcerer. That was quite a tricky spell he did, Tabitha pointed out. Perhaps you could start teaching him magic. He is your apprentice, after all. The sorcerer thought for a moment. Maybe, he grunted, but first he could clean up in here without magic, and if you ever disobey me again, he added to Max, you'll be a frog spawn in the moat. From that day on, Max was an ideal apprentice. He studied hard, and soon he had learned how to start spells and how to stop them. When he grew up, he became a great sorcerer whose spells also worked perfectly, though he was careful never to enchant another broomstick. The end. So that was our fantasy story, the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So I really like that one. It's pretty funny. There's some good little things in there. But we will go over later in another video when I have some questions about the conflict and the resolution that happened in the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So bye. See y'all next time. So y'all have been going over fantasy stories, and we have now read The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So what details or things that we read in the story help you know that this is a fantasy? That this story is a fantasy. What did Max use that the sorcerer told him not to? What did Max use that the sorcerer told him not to? How does Max try to help fix his problem? that he created? How does he help trying to fix the problem he created? Why does the problem that Max tries to fix? Why does nothing help? Why does nothing help? If you were the sorcerer, would you have been upset to see your house like this, and why? What would you do if you had magic powers? What would you do if you had magic powers?